Islam is a greater threat than the Jews.
Yeah, is the problem with the Muslims of Europe that they're too Muslim or that they're criminals?
Well,
I mean,
that's the same thing.
Yeah, it's not though, actually, and it's not. And
no, the Muslim.
Let me ask you this, and I'm totally not for Islam. Okay, I'm a Christian. Why are there twice as many Christians living in Qatar as there are in Israel? Do you think?
Welcome back, everyone. This time, we'll be watching an interesting interview clip between Tuckerr Carlson and Christian pastor Douglas Wilson from the U.S. In this short segment, you'll see how the pastor has been brainwashed into hating Muslims for no reasons, as well as his blind support for Israel over Muslims, which Tuckerr Carlson strongly denies. Well, to save time, here's the full clip.
Okay, I don't get that feeling from most people on my side. Not only do they think, and of course all of this is an effort to defend what the Israeli government is doing in Gaza, which is totally indefensible as far as I'm concerned. And the more you know about it, the harder it becomes to defend. And basically, if you go down this path, you wind up in a place where you can't, how could you defend that? Mm-hmm. How about let the kids leave? No. How about let food in? No. You have the most precise munitions in the world, but you're blowing up Christian churches and schools and hospitals. Tell me why you're doing that. If that conversation even begins, there's no way to win that debate.
Now, you do know that, first, targeting civilians and starving kids and doing all that stuff directly as a tactic would be terrorism, would be...
This is terrorism. What the Israeli government is doing in Gaza is terrorism and unconscionable. So that's why there is such resistance to even discussing, like, when is it okay to kill the innocent?
How would you respond to the... this is sort of big if true. So how would you respond to those who say, you're exactly right, to make war on civilians would be awful. It would be horrific. But I think that that's a lie. I don't think we're doing that. Like, an Israeli saying, I don't think we're doing that.
Well, how about we let cameras in right now? And why aren't we doing that? And why have dozens of journalists been shot in Gaza wearing press credentials on their chests or on their helmets or in their car? This is not, I'm not making this up.
Well,
so, and the answer is because they don't want you to see what's actually happening. So let's just open it up and inspect it. But no one denies that tens of thousands of children have been killed in Gaza. It's just an absolute fact. I visited some of their surviving siblings last week. And I'm only saying, look, I spent 2 years not saying anything about it because I don't want to get involved in this fight because I know they're going to like try to get my kids fired from their jobs, which they have, call me an anti-Semite, of course. But at a certain point, it's like, this is hurting the United States, which is paying for it and which is using its credibility to defend it on the world stage. And it's like, how is this good for my country? It's not. Right. And it's also rotted, completely rotted the world that I live in, which is like conservative world. And all of a sudden people are like, it doesn't matter if the kids get killed or they blow up 2 churches in Gaza. I'm a Christian. I have a right to think, I don't think it's good to blow up churches, okay? What do they have to do with it? Are they Islamists too now? And all these Christian leaders
were there tunnels? Were there tunnels underneath them?
They never claimed there were tunnels underneath.
No, I'm just asking.
No, but it's like insane. And by the way, if there were tunnels underneath, sorry, you still can't blow up a Christian church when all your money is coming from a majority Christian country. Sorry, there are limits on what you can do.
Okay.
Tough luck.
Hamas will target innocent civilians on purpose.
Well, Israel has not allowed food aid into 2 million people. There's no infrastructure whatsoever. There's no business. They flattened 70% of it. We know that from satellite photos. And so what is that? That's targeting innocent people. I'm not defending Hamas. I'm totally opposed to Hamas. Right. I don't think Bibi should have sent them that much money, which he did and admits. But I'm against it. I'm against all of this stuff.
Right. Right. So if you have 2 groups Hamas saying, yeah, we did that. We blew up the pizza parlor in Tel Aviv. We claim responsibility for that.
Well, October 7th was like enough of an atrocity to make me pretty anti-Hamas.
Yeah. Okay, that's a good example. Yeah, we did it. We're proud of it. That was our
Yeah, I'm
intention.
out. I'm never going to defend you. That's disgusting.
On your, but that's not my point, that you would defend it. I know you wouldn't. The point is that Israel is enough of a Western country to, if they did something bad like that, they would not own it. They would lie about it. They are virtuous enough to be guilty of hypocrisy.
No, they're dependent on U.S. aid enough to manipulate the U.S. media, which they do. Their entire country is dependent on U.S. taxpayer dollars, and the numbers are super clear. There would be no wars fought by Israel alone because it's got 9 million people and no resources, and they have a reserve military. They don't have enough people. A huge chunk of their country doesn't work or serve in the military, so they are, and there are a lot of good Israelis who I know, one of whom is in the Knesset, who I just talked to. They're very worried that Israel is like way overextended. And why? Because they're backstopped by the U.S. military. And so this is not my chief concern. My chief concern is my country. But if you cared about Israel, man, they're in a bad spot right now. But no one can admit it. They all have to lie about everything. And the people who lie the most, can I say, are the evangelical preachers who go over there on an all-expense-paid vacation with a foreign government and then come back and tell me that I'm an Islamist because I don't think that we should kill children. And then you ask them, did you do a lot of evangelizing in Israel? Because your whole job is to tell people about Jesus. Did you do that a lot in Tel Aviv? Shut up, anti-Semite. What? I thought we were on Team Jesus here, which I am, by the way. And I think evangelists should evangelize. And the one thing you care about is Jesus. They will not evangelize in Israel. And then they say how great it is. If there is something that I will confess in public about my heart, it's that some of these preachers inspire in me hate, okay? And I think I said Christian Zionists, but it wasn't. Right. I know a million super nice Christian Zionists really well. I know some of them I'm related to some, so I get it.
Right.
Anyway, I'm sorry I said that, and I'll say it again.
I've seen the England for years. I've seen England as 20 years behind the continent, and America as 30 years behind England. And currently, every major city in England is governed. It has a Muslim mayor. Their immigration policy has been disastrous, like ours. Only ours, our southern border, has been largely Pentecostals and Trinitarian Catholics that have come across the border. Right. Islamists in Germany and Islamists in the UK are an entirely different
I have family in Europe. I'm there constantly. I was there 10 days ago, so I agree with you completely.
And so someone could argue, as I would, that the Muslims who are threatening Israel are Muslims who are threatening us.
Yeah,
Islam is a greater threat than the Jews.
Yeah, is the problem with the Muslims of Europe that they're too Muslim or that they're criminals?
Well, that's the same thing.
Yeah, it's not though, actually, and it's not. And
no, the Muslim.
Let me ask you this, and I'm totally not for Islam. Okay, I'm a Christian. Why are there twice as many Christians living in Qatar as there are in Israel? Do you think?
Twice as many Christians in Qatar as...
In Qatar. Yeah, the Islamist slave state that we hear so much about. But there are twice as many Christians living there as in Israel. And they can leave if they want. They came freely. But there are twice as many in Qatar. Why do you think that is?
Can they build churches?
Yeah, actually, the state gave them the land for their churches. But why is that? If what you're saying is true, because it's not true, actually. Right. Islam is false. I don't believe in it.
Right.
Don't want my kids to be Muslim. I'm not Muslim. But we have the reality that you experience when you get outside the American media biosphere is so different, the reality from what you're describing. The second question I ask is, how do we get all these Muslims here after 9/11? They all came after 9/11.
Yeah.
Who encouraged that exactly? Who encouraged that? And it's a lot of the same people who are now encouraging us to hate Muslims. Actually, JDL was totally for it. Totally for it. We want to make
JD who?
ADL.
Oh, ADL.
Completely for that. You could not, for 25 years. No, they encouraged that. So what is that? I don't know what that is, but I know that the same people who are like Islam is the problem are the same people who brought us all these Muslims here.
Right, because
I feel like I'm being played a little bit. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I agree with that. The left wants discord. The left wants to foment problems.
They don't like white Christians, so they wanted to dilute the population in the United States, and they did it systematically through migration, and they did the same thing in Western Europe. And I think we should stop all immigration, period. And I would also say that at this point, you can't, we have this non-Christian society. Like, we're not going to have an overwhelming Christian society in my lifetime, sadly. But what do you do with that? And the first thing you do is recognize that attacking people on the basis of their DNA is going to turn us into Rwanda. And so you have to, and the same people crying anti-Semitism constantly, telling me I can't have free speech rights because there's anti-Semitism, are the same people telling us that we have to hate Muslims because they're Muslim. Well, and how is hating Muslims better than hating Jews?
Yeah, it's not.
Exactly.
If you hate Muslims because they're Muslim, that's
the same as hating Jews because they're Jewish.
Yeah, correct.
I'm out.
But if you are opposed to Muslims who have read the Quran, which I've done a couple times, I read through the Quran, and the Muslim Brotherhood, the people, the jihadis, are not twisting the Quran.
I'm sure I wouldn't know.
They are being consistent with it, and I see them as a far greater threat to the West than the state of Israel is, and so protecting Israel from Muslims, you could argue, is a roundabout way of protecting. It's a proxy.
How's that work for us?
So
we went to war in Iraq in March of 2003 at the behest of Israel, flat out. Bibi said it. Glad you're doing it. And I don't know. There's no debate about that. And then in the years since, we've gotten millions of Muslims in the United States, millions since the Iraq War.
Yeah.
So how's that program worked out for us? We didn't have any Muslims in the United States when I was growing up.
Yeah.
And as our support for Israel has become more and more fanatical, which it is, it's fanatical, can't even discuss it, anti-Semite, we've gotten more Muslims. So I don't think this works the way that we think it does.
Right. I think that the whole system at the top is demented.
Yeah, you think?
But that doesn't change the facts on the ground. We've got the problem that we have in Dearborn is a problem that London has and a bunch of other UK cities have, because we have lost our center. As the poet says, the center gives way.
No doubt.
Everything's sunk. The best lack of conviction, the worst are full of passion and intensity. And that's where we are.
I would argue that because we are involved militarily and on many other levels in the Middle East, at the behest of Israel, we're there because of Israel. We have an air base in Qatar because of Israel. We've all these troops there because of Israel. We have a lot of Muslims.
We might have an air base in Idaho, Qatari, if the deal goes through.
Why is that? Because Israel bombed Doha, because they were doing we were doing a peace negotiation with Hamas. Why is that our job? Why is any of this our job? We've invaded the world and then we've imported the world. It happened to Britain. That's why they got immigration in the 60s, because their empire was coming down and they're like, oh, you're from Barbados, you're from Nigeria, those are British colonies, you move here.
Right.
And we're doing the same thing. So how about we don't have actual interests in the Middle East other than oil. Let's just pull back, because this is destroying our country.
All right. Turn off the tap and here, drill, baby, drill.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
All right. So, although we've not solved very many problems
I
at
feel
all,
like we're close, man.